where'd you come from?
I'm from Ventura, California.
You said you moved to. Oh, you moved from Ventura to L.A.
LA, yeah. Where'd I come from today?
No, no, no. I'm
Oh
just.
yeah, I was hanging out with my mom earlier.
No, no, not
Yeah,
today.
yeah,
No,
yeah. In general,
general, yeah.
yeah. Born and raised Ventura.
You went to Ventura High?
I went to Buena High.
Buena?
Graduated 2007. Um, yeah. Kyle's Ventura High, 2011. Yeah.
How did you?
How did we
So
link up?
you're a little bit
Older, 4 years older. Yeah, 4 years older.
So is it Lexicon? Is that the ones that hit first?
So it just depends on like what you consider to hit, but um, I'll actually tell you how I discovered Kyle was when I was like 19. I was a freshman in college. I was going to Moore Park College. I was playing basketball, and I was just obsessed with like music blogs. And I was also discovering space at the time, and I just was like very much like in that 19-year-old phase of just like absorbing so much new music, finding new shit, being obsessed with it. And I've always been like a hip hop head, since as long as I can remember. Like I played basketball, so like the hip hop basketball thing was always really close. Like I'd be reading Slam magazine and seeing like DMX ads and stuff in there, and just like obsessing over that culture. And I remember seeing my younger brother is I think the same age as Kyle or 1 year ahead of him maybe. And I just remember seeing my younger brother showed me because we were like this was like early YouTube days too. He showed me this little like freestyle that Kyle and his homies did. They just shot it and like uploaded it to YouTube like outside of their crib. It was called the Can You Flow session, and it was like basically they were just like making a beat like on their like slapping their hands on their pants and like snapping and stuff, and like him and a bunch of his homies were rapping, and it was just I thought it was like creative and cool, and it like was reminiscent. They were probably sophomores in high school at the time, but it was reminiscent of a lot of like the stuff I saw like that people were posting on music blogs, you know. And I just remember thinking, damn, these kids are from Ventura, because Ventura is such a small town that I like a lot of the stuff that I was seeing was from, you know, New York, LA, Atlanta, like bigger markets, right?
Mm-hmm.
This was still like in the time where, you know, obviously hip hop is like a big city kind of genre generally, but like it was just still early in the like hip hop being like people making it everywhere, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I just remember seeing that and thinking, oh, this kid's talented and cool and he's from my hometown. And I kind of just was like keeping my eye on it for whatever reason, just as a fan. And then right around that time, being 19, I was, you know, I was playing community college basketball. I was like, at that time, I was probably like, well, I'm probably not going to the as a 6-foot white guy point. I was like, probably not going to the NBA. So like, what is my next kind of career path? And yeah, I just started going down to shows in LA all the time, and I kind of was like, I loved like the energy of the culture, and I felt like I got it. Like I understood it. I understood the marketing. Like I trusted my ear when I would hear things that I thought were really good. I was like, oh, this could respond. I think this is going to be popular. I'd see things and be like, oh, this person's cool. I think they're going to be big, you know? So it was like an ear thing, an eye thing. I just felt like I could identify talent. Yeah. And so from that point, you know, while I was in college, I kind of figured out, oh, okay. And then I started learning what all the individual roles in the music business did. Like, oh, this is what an A&R does. This is what an executive does. This is what a marketing guy does or a product manager does. You know, this is what the publicity department does. And I kind of was like, well, where do I fit in? Is it at a label or, but then I'm like, oh, then each of these, either the group or the artist has like a manager, and the manager a lot of times is like their creative partner and business partner, and they help kind of guide their career. And I just like related to music managers. This was like early even in Scooter Braun's career, and so I watched Scooter Braun like break Asher Roth, and this was before Scooter even. I remember Scooter posting about Justin Bieber like on MySpace and stuff for like the first time, where he was like, I discovered this kid, I think he's super talented, and like the very beginning of Bieber's career. So, and I saw Scooter, and it kind of like made sense to me, like, oh, I could kind of be like this guy, you know? And so that's when I knew I wanted to be a manager, and I was a huge fan of this hip hop group out of LA called Pac Div, and Pac Div was just so dope to me. They were like a trio, kind of reminiscent of like Tribe Called Quest or Far Side, and I feel like they were just this kind of new brand of like rap and hip hop that like didn't really exist in mainstream rap. Like you had like 50 Cent and Kanye, and like Kanye was kind of like ushering in like a new style. You know, he's always
Hmm.
on like some different shit. But Pac Div was this thing that they were like kind of like kids next door, like very everyday, but like really cool, dressed cool, like wearing all kinds of cool streetwear stuff. So they kind of, even being a fan of them, introduced me to streetwear. And that was a whole other subculture that was happening in Los Angeles on Fairfax at the time. And so there's just like all these kind of different cultures were merging. And I happened to be like early to it. So like I saw a lot of this stuff kind of like bubble up. And just like through my curiosity, I remember like somehow I got in touch with like the one of the guys from the group Pac Div, and I basically just was like, "Yo, I'm a huge fan of what you guys do. I'm in college, and I like think I can help. I feel like I have creative ideas. I feel like I have marketing ideas, and basically I'm your biggest fan. So it's like you can trust me, kind of, you know." Um, and yeah, when I was 21, they basically kind of brought me on as an intern, and they had just done a record deal with, I want to say it was like Motown. But again, this is 2010, maybe 9 or 10, and this is in that weird era where like music was going digital. So it was like the iTunes store was a thing, and they were trying to get people to pay 99 cents, but then it was really easy to pirate music and hard to stop it. So the labels couldn't stop it, and then all the up and coming indie artists were putting their music out for free via like send space, like file sharing sites. So all the music blogs were posting all the up and coming stuff for free download. So the music business was just not properly monetized at the time, is basically what I'm saying. It's pre-streaming. So it's like, nowadays it's like it's the music begins or gets starts getting monetized right away as soon as it's being uploaded. Every stream kind of counts as money. Whereas like at this time, it's like, Pac Div probably had these mixtapes that were getting downloaded like crazy, and people were burning them onto CDs, and they weren't really selling music. So I just say all that to say this was just a weird time on the industry side. Now, what was
It
bubbling
really
and
was.
and the excitement around like what was happening, like, and the music was so good. Again, this is like early Dom Kennedy, early Nipsey Hussle. There's so many other like groups and people. I mean, Kid Cudi, like the people that would break through and have like a real like traditional hit song. A lot of times, like would get to the money, right? Like Kid Cudi, like broke out, came up with Kanye and had some like real hit songs that like probably sold records. But for everybody else, it was like this was even pretty much pre online merch store. So 2009, not everybody has like online merch even. So it's like
Hmm.
they can't even monetize their business that way. Whereas like a lot of the indie artists now are like, maybe they're just on YouTube, and maybe they're not even streaming like crazy enough to make like a ton of money, but they have this like super profitable merch business or their touring business. Even though they do 200 or 300 tickets per city, they still have this like kind of bubbling business where they can earn money. So this was still like kind of pre a lot of that getting figured out. Anyhow, Pactiv brought me on as an intern, and they were happening. They happened to be going on a couple tours coming up. They were going on tour with NERD, like Pharrell's band,
It's one
and
of my
going
favorite
on.
bands of all time.
Oh yeah, incredible. And Mac Miller. So I got to experience that with them. And so I was 21 years old,
So
like kind
you're
of.
there just like on stage or backstage with, NERD
Yeah,
and Mac.
yeah,
How is Mac? Like I've heard very different stories about him. One of them is the sweetest dude you ever meet,
yeah.
but another one a dick.
Dude,
What is your
Mac was
experience with him?
he was super sweet to me. He was like nothing. It was nothing but love. And the crazy thing is like the tour that we were on with Mac was the Blue Slide Park tour, which was his debut album. He had some mixtapes prior to this, but his debut like album that he sold, it's called Blue Slide Park. He was 18 years old, and he had a Billboard Hot 200 number one album called Blue Slide Park. And so he was basically like during this tour, he's like got a number one album. He's 18 years old. He's on top of the world. He's doing 2,000 tickets, 2,500 tickets in every single market. Um, yeah, his career was just, his life was changing, like essentially before our eyes, but obviously before his own eyes as well. Um, yeah, that experience was like, it was life changing. It was like that was one of the things that even so after I did that tour, even during that tour, I was so inspired by like watching Mac. I was kind of like, first of all, if I'm going to be a manager, I need my own client. Like it's cool that I'm interning for these guys because they're, Pac Div, they're like my big homies. They're all 6, 8 years older than me. And so it's like, did I kind of want to manage them? Yeah, maybe, but they're more experienced in the business than I am. It's like I think I have instincts.
You
And
need to grow with somebody.
yeah, I almost need to get my own client, and like those guys actually are my brothers, and they like listen to me and I'm like this crazy 21-year-old going, whoa, what about this? And I know nothing about the business, but I'm just like kind of going off my instincts and like what I like and my taste and stuff like that. But basically, you know, being on that Mac tour kind of like reignited the thing. I'd already been kind of like working with them for about a year, with Pac Div for like a year, and I just was like, if I'm gonna be a manager, I need my own client. And Kyle and I had been doing some things. Every time I would come back to Ventura, it was like this crazy experience. So it's like I was like in like New York City with Pharrell, and like Pusha T is backstage like sitting next to me, and I'm like going to nightclubs in New York City, and I'm 21, I'm like having the time of my life. Atlanta, all these places, and then I'd come back to Ventura and like go back to my pizza place job, my job at the pizza place at Pizza Chief on the east end of Ventura.
Oh shit, no
So
shit.
so it's like, and then I'm like, my whole world is kind of just going zoop like back down to like reality. And I'm like, fuck, I got to figure out a way to like make this my actual life, like how do I do this, And then going on tour with Mac Miller and then like coming home and like trying to tell my friends like, oh yo, like it's like they barely even believe me, the type of shit I'm telling them.
What kind of ideas do you have at this time? Like, I know you're like building, like, or actually, what is the biggest lesson you learned from them from that period of your life?
Oh man, it's hard to say, but I think that so that one thing that sticks out was like being on tour with Mac, seeing Mac Miller being this white kid who prior to the tour I wasn't necessarily a fan of his because I was on like Two Dope Boys and Ill Roots, and I was looking
Yeah.
at kind of this more urban like rap music where Mac kind of operated like outside of this. He was like little homie of Wiz Khalifa, kinda. They were both on the same label, and it was from Pittsburgh, and so it was like a little different. It was like I was older than Mac. I was 21, and he was 18, even on that tour, or 22, and he was 18. So it's like it was just not really my thing. But seeing him perform every night and seeing how he won me over as a fan even. But I think what I learned from that was just seeing how him and his homies are from Pittsburgh. It's like this different area. They got together. Mac had tremendous talent, but they like had this really good cohesiveness where like him and his boys, like there's Q, who's still a good friend of mine, and Tree J, and like he had a couple like homies, and they like would shoot amazing music video. I was just inspired by like how he built his thing, and I kind of was like looking at it, and I'm like, we can do this. Like we have good like video directors. Jacob Owens, super talented video director. I was like, I just need to start putting this together. So, and I knew Kyle was super talented, and Kyle and I had worked on some things.
And so in your head, are you like, all right, I need to get a client.
I need
It's
a client.
Kyle.
I was like, if I'm gonna be a manager, I need a client, and I knew if I would want to make any money in the business, I need to like have my own client. Like I can't expect like, the Pac Div guys. It's like I can't expect them. I'm like a roadie for them. I'm like helping them sell merch and stuff. I'm helping them kind of try to like put pieces together to build their business and stuff. But I just knew like, okay, if I want, I need that like 20% management commission of like someone who's like really successful, So I needed my own fucking Justin Bieber or like super talented. I need my own Mac Miller. Like I guess I saw it was around like Mac Miller's managers and stuff. And I mean, he's like independent.
Are you just like grilling him, like his ear, asking him so many questions?
What's funny is, so he had like his day-to-day managers, and then he had his tour manager, and I didn't get to spend that much time around his like manager, which was this guy Benji at the time. Benji was the founder of Rostrum, and Rostrum had Wiz Khalifa signed too, and Benji was managing Mac Miller and Wiz Khalifa basically at one time and the records were going through his independent label. Like he was printing fucking money, like.
Yeah.
And so I was around him like once or twice, but I mean, I'm one to grill someone with some questions. I'm like the most curious person on
I
face of
bug
the earth.
people. Yeah, I know.
So if I gotten more of an opportunity, I absolutely would have, but I didn't at the time. I was more just soaking up game by just watching what was happening in front of me. What's happening in front of me? It's like, and the thing that I think where the light bulb really went off is we would go to these places in like we're playing Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, and Mac Miller's selling 3,000 tickets. I'm like, I don't even know where the fuck. I couldn't even point at this on a map, or we're in like just random ass places. And what I kind of noticed was like, obviously Mac being a white kid, it's like all his fans are white. It like appeals to kind of this different demo of like a lot of the cool guy rap shit that I was fan of is like mainly like kind of more urban driven around like the major cities, like the Dom Kennedy shit, Nipsey Hussle shit. That was like almost more LA or New York or Atlanta, where like Mac is going to the middle of Iowa, he's going to Des Moines and selling 3,000 tickets. And so I was it kind of like lit me up about, oh, it doesn't matter how cool the artist is. If they can grow an audience and that audience can be like super wide ranging, we can do. Mac literally on that tour, he did like 30 shows, which is like the usual North American routing. He did 30 shows, and I think he like went and did it again. They did like
Just
2
double-
laps on the tour because he was so popping. They did like 70. I could be mistaken. I need to go back and look at the flyer and stuff, but like it was insane. And so I think even like I said, the light bulb went off when it came to Kyle, because I just knew how like talented Kyle was. And it wasn't just from that one video I mentioned earlier. It was Kyle and I had been working together. He was really hardworking. Kyle, from the earliest demos he was playing me, he was like singing and rapping. And Kyle's kind of like this kid that I knew, like, he's a kid kind of from Ventura. He's mixed race, white and black. I knew that like white kids he's kind of nerdy. I knew white kids would probably like it. And, and he just was so hardworking. Him and I had such good synergy that like, anytime I would suggest something to him, he'd like put it into play right away.
What year is it that you started to
Manage Kyle?
Yeah, well, not really manage him, like
help work with him.
Yeah,
2011. So like I remember, and I've told this before too. So I remember I was in Atlanta with Mac Miller, and he had just sold out like 3,500 tickets at the Tabernacle, and I came back to like wherever we were staying at the time, and I typed up this like. Basically this like kind of marketing plan for Kyle. Like, this is what we need to be doing and how we need to be doing it. Need to be shooting consistent music videos. Like, this is how we're going to build like consistent YouTube content. This is how we're going to build your brand and stuff like that. While I was in Atlanta, I sent it to him like as a Facebook message. Cause him and I had like worked on some shows together, and everything we had done was pretty successful. That was at the end of 2011. And then I remember in my mind, I kind of like made this commitment, even just to myself. I don't even know if I told Kyle, like, but I just was like, I have it in like my iPhone notes from like January 1 of 2012. It was like managing Kyle was going to be my number one priority. So if I wasn't working at the pizza place or like working out or doing whatever else I was doing, I was like actively trying to do stuff for him. And I got him a gig up in Santa Barbara opening up for Big Sean. I got him a gig opening up for A$AP Rocky at the theater. And I was just in touch with local promoters.
was
and stuff.
that show?
Were you? Yeah, the A$AP Rocky one?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Which was funny because he didn't even sell that out. It was a packed crowd. It was probably 600 kids. But like, that was even early for Rocky.
And I was backstage.
Were you?
And
yeah, we were back there.
I mean, I'm maybe just for one, I'm like, oh my God. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because he was on fire. And if you were paying attention, if you were like a sceney music person and you knew A$AP Rocky was on fire. The only problem is Ventura culturally is just removed from like all the super hot shit. It just it took a while for, I mean, even for Kyle, like it took us like, he had to like go do a tour with G-Eazy, do songs with Chance the Rapper, do songs with Kehlani, then come back to Ventura and finally sell out the theater. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We had this thing bubbling for a long time to the point where like, and Ventura always showed him love. So like, I remember his first headline theater show, he did like 700 tickets or something, and which was like really impressive because like everywhere else he was doing 200. So okay, they're like actually getting behind this and supporting it.
And like, what is your marketing strategy with him? Like when you from the get go, like obviously you said about YouTube content, with because there's. For me, from a fan point of view, and maybe I came on a little later, but it seems like the direction of his music changed? And was that both of you guys combined? Because when the direction changed, that's when, for me, I thought,
So honestly, when I first started kind of advising Kyle, I always kind of saw this thing in him that I always encouraged him to be like himself because I saw this thing in him that was like really unique that wasn't in the market. So like a lot of the early stuff he was playing me sounded like Drake or sounded like Big Sean or sounded like somebody else. But then like who he was off the record was this like super silly, funny,
mm-hmm.
unique, talented, charismatic dude.
And that I can see that through the music, and
Yeah,
that's what makes me love him more. Just
exactly.
his lyrics, the way he connects things, like silly shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like the what is that song? Sex and
Super Smash.
Super Smash. Here I come. Like
Yeah.
it's like a silly, like juvenile, like using the clip from the video game to connect the video game and the song.
Yeah.
And like I told my, I was listening to it with my son. I was like, "Do you get that?" And
Yeah.
he was like, "Oh, I didn't even get that." And then it made him like him even more. So
Yeah.
I mean, I understand what you're saying.
Yeah. I remember like there was this one time, there was like really vivid conversation in my mind, and this probably is 2011 or 2012, and I was basically kind of like just encouraging him to be like more of his unique self and that he didn't have to try to make music that fit in with what was popular. He needed to be like more of his niche quirky self because in my opinion I felt like the people that were working, like, okay, the Wiz Khalifa's, at the time, Tyler, the Creator, was really blowing up. And I remember using that as an example. I was like, you see how, like, Tyler is like, I was like, you're like Tyler. I remember
Yes.
telling him that vividly. I'm like, you're like Tyler, you're just different. Like, your shit is like a little more nerdy, quirky, carefree, fun loving, warm, where Tyler's kind of doing this, like, dark, heinous
Yes.
thing at the time at the beginning. But I was like, in the same way, like he's unique and talented, you're the same way. And I was like, you just got to continue to tap into more of that. And, you know, I don't want to like take credit for it, but I think I was just there every day encouraging him. And I think that he kind of like started digging into like, okay, what makes me unique? What makes me unique? What makes my sound unique? And that's when he started like laugh. You can hear him like laughing on tracks and like saying just outlandish shit. And then I think that once we started putting it out, I think all the kids that related to that naturally kind of started gravitating towards it, you know? And I think, you know, it wasn't like a specific shift, but what you're saying is like you're referencing Sex and Super Smash Bros, which is like on his first basically like mixtape album.
Mm-hmm.
That was the other thing. We just treated everything like it was an album, you know? Like we shot as many music videos as we possibly could to everything we were doing. We like put so much care in crafting the track list. We were really specific about how we were picking beats. That was the other thing is like, was he picking beats that like sounded like somebody else, or was he picking beats that were like super unique to him? And I think that
So he doesn't make the beats.
no.
Oh shit!
No, he doesn't produce. No.
I thought that was all him.
No.
I never asked him. I didn't ask him in the interview, but in my, because it's so perfect for him. I thought
Yeah.
he was making it for him.
Yeah, no. So I think that it's like he's worked with a bunch of talented producers, but it was just about finding, you know, very early on, it was this guy named Dave Kappa who he connected with online. And then it was like, there's been so many amazing producers that have surrounded him and supported him over the years. You know, there's a guy named Naz who produced Doubt It, and he produced I Spy. And then we had Brick, who's his longtime DJ. And Brick was like, kind of acted as like a creative director. And, you know, once we figured out kind of like what his brand was, our whole team kind of knew how to communicate it. So like we knew how to kind of help him arrive at like, oh, pick this beat, not that beat, or write to this, not that. But like Kyle is such a like a focused songwriter that it was like he was driving that a lot. Like I remember hearing, I mean shit, I remember hearing the Don't Want to Fall in Love beat, which is made by this guy M Phases who did a lot of the Smile project.
Mm-hmm.
I remember like Kyle was playing that in our living room, and I just remember I'm like, rap on this beat, because a lot of times, I mean, I'm still picky to this day about certain beats and stuff, because I'm like, you know, when you're like a hit songwriter and hit rapper, you need to pick hit beats, And a lot of times, like, you have to be pretty selective.
You can't fuck up.
Yeah, because it's like if the quality of the production doesn't, every hit song is a hit because of the songwriting. Usually 50-50 because of the songwriting and the production. Very rarely is a hit just because of the rapper is that fucking good. Although it does happen.
Yeah.
Or the songwriting is that fucking good. But like, you need really amazing production. You know, that's why Bruno Mars spends years on iterations of getting the production right around whatever songwriting he's doing, because he's like, I know I need a hit. So that's something that I'm kind of picky about. But like, yeah, I guess Don't Want to Fall in Love was one of those things where it's like shit sounded like a hit without even any songwriting on it. And then Kyle came on it and is like, both like his vocal performance on it is really good. The verses are good, like good singing and stuff on it. So, and that song has been, you know, I think we put that out in 2015.
15? Oh shit.
Yeah, and it's a gold record now, which is like a really cool long-term like slow burn build thing.
And you can tell from the very drop beat, like the first like 15 seconds that was a
that's
banger.
also like just a key. If within the first, sometimes it's got to be usually like 3 seconds.
Yeah.
Like,
to get my
I
attention.
You press play and it's like ding. Like, you're like, yeah.
Do you guys like, or in my mind, I don't think like, oh, he arrived at I Spy.
Okay, good.
Yeah, I always think like, you know, in my mind it was just like, well, where have you guys been? Like, this guy is, you know, just ridiculous. We used to like around that time, we would praise him so much on the show.
Oh wow.
Like we would like,
Thank
we
you.
love you. Like we would play his music. We had a guy named Mikey Nolix on here, great rapper, like super like inspired. He was inspired by Kyle.
Wow.
And so the way he would go on stage is a lot of, you know, I would see Kyle in him.
That's cool.
And
that's cool to know that it was like even in like working its way into, because sometimes when you're in it, it's really hard to tell. But to what you were saying was, honestly, you know, like I said, we were building it since 2012. So like, there were times in 2015 or 16 through consistency, he had like, we watched all his friends blow up, like Chance blew up, and we were friends with Chance super early on. Kehlani blew up, you know, G-Eazy was like on fire. We were like, damn, when is it Kyle's turn, kind of, you know, because we just knew like we have all the pieces. But that's like when we really continued to like grow that core, be consistent. And then it was like right at this moment where it was like we were like exhausted from just like feeling like like what else do we have to do?
Does he talk about it in his See You When I'm Famous album? That he was like, I was about to give up and kill myself, or like I was feeling depressed or something.
Yeah.
And then 2 minutes later I had a hit.
Yeah.
Is that this situation?
Yeah. 2016 was like a really hard year for all of us. I think it was like, we were fatigued a little bit. Kind of like one of those things like what's going on, you know. And also I look at a lot of it as like we're young, so it's like it was a bit of immaturity too. It's kind of like that, you've seen that meme where it's like the guy digging and then there's all the diamonds on the other side and he turns around. It was like that was the thing, because now in retrospect I'm thinking about it, it's like even if we worked on this every day of our lives from like 2016, that's only 4 years deep, you know. People grind for shit for decades, you know what I mean? And don't quote unquote make it or get it or whatever. So, but needless to say, I think it was fatiguing. 2016, we went on like a tour that sucked with this artist that we don't even have to name, but like we went on a tour that like Kyle didn't like the experience. You know, we were at this kind of stalemate where we felt like we've just done so much, put heart and soul into a lot of these projects. And the way we were crafting these projects is we were trying to make them like classics. You know, we were inspired by like what Chance was doing with acid rap. So it's like Beautiful Loser and Smile. Like we're thinking, like we're putting so much like care into it. We think it's going to be like Grammy nominated type shit, you know?
Dog, honestly, like Light of Mine is my favorite album of all time.
Wow.
And like, the reason why, and I know that people are gonna, oh, there's so much great music. I know, but to each their own.
Yeah.
And if I want to get nostalgic, I'll put it on. If I want to feel better about my day, I put it on. And it makes me feel good that he's from us. He's a part of us.
Yeah.
And it also makes me feel good that, I'm pretty sure there's deals on the table that he's not taking.
Yeah.
And to me, like, this is it. This is what I do.
Yeah.
I have so much fucking respect for that.
Yeah.
I have so much respect for that. And that's why I will always say, when they say, what's your favorite album?
That's love, man. I appreciate that. Yeah, no, I mean, yeah, that means a lot. Wow. That's really, really cool. The one thing is we always have put our all into everything that we've done, especially him, and the way, like, Light of Mine was interesting because he was making that. The reason that record sounds almost nostalgic is because he was making that in 2016 during this downtime. So he's making that, right? And, life was hard. He was going through personal stuff. Yeah, he was going through personal stuff. So 2016, we got tour. His kind of career feels like it's at a stalemate. Like, put out a project, which was the Smile project. Didn't respond like we had hoped to. Although, like I said, now we have like a gold. I Don't Want to Fall in Love is a gold record off that album, which is like independently is amazing, right? So, reached a stalemate. He's evolving as an artist. He's kind of making like this melancholy, struggling to find success record, right? We're like putting it out, or like we rented a house in the Hollywood Hills and spent way too much money, but we just needed like that crew energy, right?
Yeah.
And then while we're up there, we had this song called I Spy, and Lil Yachty had hopped on it, and we know like this shit sounds like a hit, but it didn't really sound like it almost sounded like a step back. Like, it's almost reminded us of Beautiful Loser Days or Smile Days, which was now a year and a half ago old. Didn't sound like the rest of the shit he was making, but we were like, we need to put this out. Like Kyle at one point, we kind of like, we're like, should we put it out? Da, da, da. Anyways, we put it out.
He says,
while we're in this house together, this thing starts just going crazy right away. And it was one of those moments too, where 2016, we had a record deal on the table that ended up getting pulled from us. So we're thinking, okay, because we've done this like independent thing for a really long time with an independent company that we were 50-50 partners with. They were providing some financing or whatever. Then we get this deal on the table from a major label. We're going, oh my gosh, it's not good money. It's not going to change our lives financially.
Are you guys like hugging or something?
No, we're not hugging yet, but we're basically like, this will be a good step in the right direction, because maybe what's missing is support from a label, which is what every artist thinks. They're like, if I just have a label, the ones that aren't like buzzing, they're just like, if I just had a label pumping my shit, then it'll like work out. Which, by the way, is just complete and utter bullshit. Yeah. It's just like, it's not the truth. You have to get it going yourself. In fact, you'll be with a label and they'll just be like, get it going. You know what I mean? So, which we also learned. That's another part of the story. But I had this deal on the table. The terms of the deal were kind of shitty. Like, it wasn't like, you think you sign a major label deal, oh, it's life-changing money. It wasn't life-changing money. So we're kind of like, and he has a decent independent business where we're selling merch and he's doing touring and we're making like enough.
Were they going to cut into that?
And they weren't going to cut into it really. They were going to give us a little advance, and then, like, I think that the labels kind of like, low-level scraps, they're kind of like, we'll let you keep. When you have this like massive business that you're doing 5,000 concert tickets, if they have a 360. Anyhow, I see this deal, like we're talking through this deal. I ended up asking for like a discretionary marketing fund, because the deal was just kind of like, could have left us in a stalemate. And I just was like, look, if we have a discretionary marketing fund, meaning if we have a certain amount of money that we discretionarily can use for whatever we want. I just felt like, if we have $50,000 in a discretionary fund, I know that if we get in a stalemate where the label doesn't want to put out our shit, we have that $50,000 that we can then shoot a video or do something that can like help us get to the next
catapult.
From that, me requesting that discretionary marketing fund, they pull the deal.
Good.
So I'm kind of thinking, not only am I kind of thinking I fucked up,
oh,
yeah, I mean,
damn.
bit. I am a bit, but what was Kyle, that he like actually wasn't tripping, because we got to the point, obviously we're using our lawyer, we're using our other business partner, Kyle, myself, like I was the one that kind of like piped up and was like, dude, this deal is kind of shitty. It's not going to change our lives financially, but it can fuck us, because if you get shelved, then you won't even be able to put out music, and there's no discretionary marketing fund in there, right? So I just was kind of like, that at least, but at minimum, and our lawyer supported it. And so really what happened, it wasn't because of me requesting the fund. Kyle wasn't he was just like not hot enough for them to like really want to like grab it. Like, you know what I mean? Because it wasn't a lot of money for them. They could have grabbed. In fact, those same fucking people after I Spy came out came back around going, "Hey, da 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 da, we're so sorry, blah blah blah," you know, and like then we could have whatever deal we wanted. And that I think was like a really crazy situation, right? So it's like we go back, deal falls to the drawing board, going through this like.
What month is this?
I want to say it was like the tour happened in like February, right? February, March, maybe April. We get back, we're kind of negotiating the deal. The record company came and saw him perform in New York, and then they want to do the deal, and then like 2-3 months, May, June happens, the deal's getting negotiated, deal might fall through in the summer.
And then in June you guys put out I Spy.
No, he had I Spy in June. He had made it, and then we didn't put out I Spy until December.
Okay, so it's back on 2017 is where I'm at. Okay, I was
yeah,
some reason
so
I
I
was
Spy
thinking
came out December of 2016, December 2nd, 2016. But then like instantly, like when I say instantly, this thing got to like this thing got to 1 million streams in a week. The velocity of it was insane. It was just insane. It was moving so fast, and then every label was I remember like I went on a little ski trip with my family over Christmas, and I was like talking to the chairman of Atlantic Records on the ski chair, you know, like meaning like I'm going, who are these people? Like they don't take breaks. These guys are psychos, you know? Like, but yeah, and then he did, and then he did a deal with Atlantic Records, but he came into it with so much leverage because he has this rocket of a song. So everybody, all the labels came back to the table and wanted to sign him. We could have signed to anybody, you know. And I think that feeling, like at least entering the deal with leverage, is so much of a different situation than us kind of begging this other company, like, fuck with us. Oh, please give us a $50,000. Yeah. Now we have a $250,000 discretionary marketing fund that we didn't even have to ask for. You know what I mean? That's the difference. Us asking for $50,000 and then them going, nope, sorry, no deal, by the way. And then them just going, whatever you guys want, you know? So that's why I say, even if you are like an up and coming artist, it's like the label, first of all, is not going to solve your problems. So you have to figure out how to solve them yourself. They're just going to put gas on what you're already doing, you know? And
so there's no spark. There's
and
no
then
fire.
when you're entering business situations, you want to create leverage because then you're going to get a good deal. And by the way, record deals generally are shitty. And so even though we had all the leverage, like we still got into like most record deals are just unfavorable. They're 80-20. The good ones are 80-20 in favor of the label. So you can just imagine they write you a fat check on the front end, which, you know, at that point in time, you think $1 million is cool, but then you realize, oh, well, $1 million isn't that cool if I'm going to make the company 10 million, you know, and they get 8 and I get 2.
And that's what it is. Like I tell these people that come through, like everybody thinks that they're just playing the lottery. Like I'm making a song, put it out there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And they don't understand that you got multimillionaires giving multi-million-dollar companies making multimillionaires, big multimillionaires, and then dropping that down. Those people, I'm sorry, I spit. And then those people are giving the crumbs down to the artists who aren't even making as much as any of the people above them.
That's actually a kind of cool way to think about it. So it's like if you think about these major labels, like at the top of these, some of them are, you know, corporations that are like publicly traded or whatever, but like in the fact of Warner, right? It's like you have like the billionaires. There's like billionaires that actually own it, and they own all these copyrights, right? And then they pay the executives of these companies millions of dollars a year, $5-10 million a year to run these companies for them, and then those guys pay their lower executive staff hundreds and hundreds of thousands, 500,000 to interface with a lot of the talent, right, or whatever. And then you have the talent, and then it's like, and they're negotiating for the copyright because as the copyright, like meaning the songs, if they can get a lion's share of the songs, you know, they'll go, okay, if we can have, and now it's just simple math, right? It's like they're seeing how fast the velocity of I Spy. They're looking at Kyle and his brand and how effective they feel like the brand is built. Then they're going, we can put $1 million in this kid's pocket, and over the course of time, based on the velocity of this song and maybe the other songs that we'll sign him to, we can make $10 million, you know? And it's just like, it's almost predatory lending.
It is.
But it's just business,
yeah,
too.
it is, too.
So it's like, so as astute businessmen ourselves, we have to make decisions that are best for us. And by the way, these companies also do great work, too.
They do.
So, you know, like our
There's
staff,
a lot of accountability there, too.
yeah, our staff at Atlantic Records couldn't have been any better. You know, publicity, they you know, Kyle made the record. We made the record. We put this amazing song together. It started working. You know, then you have and then once that fire started burning, then you bring in a staff of 8 label people who have marketing ideas, are contributing, care about the project, publicity relationships.
Experience.
It's like there's like, you know, okay, Kyle gets on XXL Freshman because of I Spy, but he probably doesn't get there without the relationship of Atlantic publicity department, you know, via, you know, because you always say, oh, grass is greener on the other side or whatever. But, you know, me and Kyle, I remember sitting because we all lived together in Culver City, and we'd have these meetings in our bedrooms and stuff. And we sat in my bedroom and talked like, hey, should we do this independently? Like when we saw I Spy going crazy, we're like, this is a rocket, and it doesn't. You know, it's hard to say how many streams that thing would have gotten without like support from a label, but it was going to be a multi-platinum hit no matter what.
No matter what.
So we're kind of going, okay, should we do this independently? You know, and I think at the time, you know, in 2017, the music business is much different than it is today. You know, even in that short amount of time. Dude,
ridiculous.
I Spy was like a catalyst for Rap Caviar being like the most popular thing ever. Because everyone's going, because Kyle was still seemingly unknown. You know, he had his niche audience, but like mainstream, he's unknown. And everyone's going, I Spy, this song is the biggest song in the world. And Tuma, who was curating the Rap Caviar playlist on Spotify at the time, he saw how the velocity of the song, and he was quick to put it in Rap Caviar. And he knew us. We had a relationship with him beforehand. And so he was supporting us. But then I think the rest of the industry kind of was like, oh shit, these Spotify playlists are breaking songs, you know? But a lot of it was timing as well. It's like Spotify subscribers are growing month over month over month. So everyone's kind of coming on board to streaming music. It was like a lot of shit was happening at once, where now it seems like what streaming has kind of done to the music business and like the ease or like how quickly people can produce and release music, it's like a full fucking free-for-all, right?
Yeah.
And now, and then it was like slightly different. It wasn't, I don't think 100,000 songs were being uploaded a day on Spotify. I think it was like a little different, but yeah, I say that all to say that, you know, each opportunity, you make your best, you get together, you really stress test all the different potential scenarios and decisions you can make. At the time, we partnered with Atlantic Records. We got a great deal, really great staff that was really, really invested in Kyle. We put 2 albums out through them. That's after See You When I'm Famous. We were like, pandemic really changed the texture of the music business as well. So once that happened, we were like, okay, you know what? It might make more sense for us to like bet on ourselves and be independent and like take back a majority of the copyright. And now we're releasing Kyle's music independently. So now we're kind of like, this is back to Beautiful Loser and Smile days where it's like, we have to be scrappy. We have to like, you know, cause a lot of times it's like the independent game and the major label game are 2 completely different strategies of doing the music business.
What are those different strategies?
So when you're with a label, depending, a lot of times, you don't own a lion's share of the copyright. And a lot of times you're taking a chunk, like an advance of money, you know, whether it's $100,000 or $1 million, that you have to recoup, you have to pay back, okay? So let's say you get $1 million advance, and let's say you have $1 million recording fund. That's $2 million you owe the label. You only own of your royalty of your copyright. You only own 20%. You have to pay that $2 million back.
Battle, huh?
You have to pay that $2 million back with your 20 cents on the dollar, while they bank the 80 cents. Okay, so what that causes you to do. And because they gave you your money in pocket up front, you already got the $1 million in your account. Okay. What it causes you to do is you play the hit game like crazy, because that's the only thing that's making your brand move. That's the only thing that's really like affecting your bottom line. And the label, by the way, they want you to play the hit game because that's the reason that they're all in business. Whereas the independent game is more, it's mailbox money. It's how do I own a majority of my copyrights. How can I get my Spotify royalty checks or my streaming royalty checks to 3,000, 5,000, 10,000, 50,000 a month, right? Whereas like you're not getting, like, because you're in debt to the label $2 million, like there's a lot of artists who have had massive success that are still unrecouped to their label. So what happens is a lot of times is like those deals is like you're working for an advance every album. So it's like you do a great deal, but then okay, the album doesn't perform well and they have to pay you this in pocket and like whatever.
How did you guys do?
We've done, I mean, the thing is I feel like Kyle's albums were relatively successful, but he's still unrecouped, you know?
Well, I mean, for See You When I'm Famous, how fucking awesome was that album?
It's incredible.
Dog, I mean, you have so many people on that, you know, Tyga.
Yeah.
You have in Too Short, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Like, to me, Too Short is like a king, a god.
Yeah.
And to see Too Short with Kyle together.
Yeah, that was special.
And Kyle did, like, the whole album is just one way, and then you get to See You When I'm Famous, bitch. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
it's just hard. It goes hard. Like, is that the last song on the album?
I'd have to double check, but that we all remember.
Or maybe I just saved it that way.
When he made that song, we all knew that was like kind of unique and something special. And then figuring out, and Too Short's independent, so he kind of plays the indie game, and that's why I say it's like when you're independent, you have to approach it differently. Where it's like it's more of a quantity game, where the major label game is like, okay, how much money can we spend on marketing to try to hit one completely out of the park, so we can like have a hit song and recoup, hopefully, you know what I mean? And then get to the place where you're finally break even. But then a lot of times you're taking another advance.
My ADD's kicking in.
Yeah.
I don't know, okay? Did Chris, Calico, and Tech9 reach out to you guys?
No.
Okay.
No.
I was in a conversation with them.
And they said that? Yeah.
No. I was just in a conversation with them, and they were asking me who my favorite artist is.
Oh, wow.
And I brought up Kyle, and then they're like,
oh, wow. Yeah.
And then
feel free to share my contact.
Okay,
I would
will.
love to meet them. I think that they're super smart. Yeah, Tech9, brilliant guy, figured out distribution for himself, owns the copyright, didn't do a label deal, and he's like making a lot of money, but it's like probably really consistent mailbox money, you know, doesn't have to have a hit, doesn't have to have mainstream support, doesn't have to have radio play, doesn't have to have any of these things, just has a great business.
They reached out to me during COVID.
Oh, wow.
And they were trying to figure out, like, what should we do?
Yeah.
Because he had to let go of a lot of his staff because he's independent.
Yeah.
And so that was the conversation that him and Chris went. Tech9 and Chris split.
Oh, they split up. Okay, yeah.
And then Chris was like, well, I need to, you know, and I was like, well, I mean, I think Kyle's amazing.
Yeah.
And they're both like, we got to reach out to him.
Yeah.
And then like they're playing songs like, oh, you know this song? Yeah. Oh, this song. I know this song.
Yeah. Cool. Super cool.
Yeah. And I was just wondering if whatever came from it, because I never talked to Chris after that. You know, he's a hard guy to get a hold of.
Yeah. Oh, Chris, that's Tech9's longtime manager.
Yeah. But Tech9 is more accessible, and I mean, I just talked to him about football.
Wow.
Because the Bills against the Chiefs. Yeah. Do you remember that playoff game?
Yeah.
Where like it was like,
oh, he's Kansas City, so he's not a Chief fan, probably, huh?
And so he was just like, it was like back and forth until like the last 13 seconds, and Patrick Mahomes a fucking pussy.
Yeah.
Hate him.
Are you a Bills fan?
Yeah, I'm a huge Bills fan.
Wow.
What do you got going on now? Like, what is your plan? Like, what do you want to do? What is your goal? Like, what is...
Oh,
like,
personally, individually?
Yeah.
Oh, man. I think that, we've been independent for the past 18 months, and so I think really what it was like, identifying how different the independent strategy has to be, and then kind of like retraining the squad in order to buy into like what it's going to take independently, you know, and how to that's what I've been doing internally with Kyle, and like separately, personally, individually, I've been just obsessed with lifting weights. I've been trying to stay super healthy, eating good.
You guys took a turn though, right?
Yeah.
Musically?
Yeah. You know, I think Kyle, you know, during the pandemic, I think he experienced a lot of changes in his life, and how he was, what the music he was listening to and what he was inspired by was like way more R&B driven. So I think that that's kind of like reflected on his last project. He like really kind of like he wanted to like really focus on making R&B music.
Is he like now? I mean, his last two singles have been like more electronic.
Yeah, and then it's like dance kind of driven.
Dance.
Yeah,
I guess
yeah,
that's
it's like
what it is.
dance. Yeah, but it's electronic. Yeah, electronic. Yeah, I think it's like been a couple things. It was like R&B 2020 or 2020 and 2021, and then now more recently like dance. He's been like super into UK garage music, and he like the upcoming album he made like half of it in London, and yeah.
How are people responding to that? And how do you feel about it?
Ooh, I think that okay, so when you have like super outsized success with a song like I Spy, it's really challenging to follow that up. Like there's very few artists that have like a massive song like that are able to continue to kind of like bottle that up and continue and receive similar success. So I think that like when you compare success of his new music based on streams and stuff, it's not responding like some of his earlier stuff. Like let's just say Light of Mine, which is like, you know, I Spy, Playing With Me, like some songs that are like kind of more traditional like hit songs and sound kind of either more like hip hop pop driven. So I think when you compare it to that, it's not as successful. It's not as responding as well. The audience isn't as big for it. Now, how I feel about it is I encourage Kyle to make whatever music is calling to him.
Good.
You know, I like, obviously we're objective about the fact that we know these R&B down-tempo R&B songs are not going to respond like one of his hit rap songs, you know?
Yeah.
So it's not, we don't try to kid ourselves.
I love the fucking R&B because, bro, who's really doing R&B?
Right.
I mean, is it dying? In my opinion, it's dying. If it's not for Kyle,
yeah,
who is it?
Yeah. I mean, you know,
it's not popular anymore.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, I encourage him to make, because I think that that's how, you know, just like we were talking about, like whenever we like get obsessed with something, it's like the reason that this show is live is because like you're obsessed with it. And so it's like I think music and like exploring genre for Kyle has always been the same thing, you know? Like when he was making Smile in 2015, like we were obsessed with like all the New Jack Swing stuff. And he was trying to make like a New Jack Swing record. Smile was kind of like an attempt at that almost. And then Bruno Mars went and made 24 Karat Magic or 24 Karat. Yeah. And like that was like, he like took New Jack Swing, like re-brought it mainstream, you know? And so I think Kyle is always exploring new genres, and I think he gets really excited about it, and then he'll craft an album around his exploration of the new genre. So I think
awesome.
When you catch a hit is when like your prediction of the future lines up with what's happening. And obviously as an artist, he's always trying to do that. And I think he's always trying to create, you know, whenever Kyle's crafting an album, a lot of times he has his audience in mind, you know. He's thinking like even on the last one, he's thinking about, okay, do I have a track on here that will suffice for like a fan of I Spy? Like, do I have something that can cross over pop? Do I have something that kind of serves my rap fans? When you listen to, like, he's been making R&B music and dance music as far back as Beautiful Loser from the beginning. Like, Beautiful Loser was kind of this mixtape that explored all these different genres where, like, the unifying factor, the thread was his creativity through it, right? And so I think, yeah, I just encourage him to make whatever's calling to him, and then it's just on us to figure out how to market it and storytell it collectively, you know? And two, objectively, I try to challenge him as a songwriter and be like, I think this could be better, or I'm honest with him when I like something or when I don't like something. But again, I'm not always the target demo too. Yeah. So I'll even preface it with that. I'm like, I might not be I've heard all your music, so I think that maybe if I'm saying, oh, I don't think this is great songwriting, or I'm challenging your songwriting. It's because I think it could be better for X, Y, and Z reason, you know? So, you know, but yeah, I want to make to what's calling to him, and then us figuring out how to evolve it from a marketing standpoint is like a challenge, fun.
What's also awesome about, you know, I know I want to move on to weightlifting. I just saw your vein in your arm. And I was like, oh, we got to talk about that.
I wonder if it communicates on the thing.
You had a vein? Look at it, dude. I have one vein right here.
That's a nice one. That's a nice, healthy one.
Yeah, I went to get my blood drawn because I think I was telling you about.
You're like,
and I was like, we're using this one.
Yeah. You're like, you know where to go.
Yeah, it's this one. I used to go to Salzers.
Yeah.
Like, I used to ride a bike from Port Hueneme to Salzers and back once a week when I got my $15 fucking allowance every 2 weeks, actually.
Yeah.
And I would go and listen to all the music and pick out a song. And I would always try to pick out a song that I can listen, or an album that I can listen from song 1 to song 12 or 15. Beautiful Loser, Smile, Light of Mine, See You When I'm Famous. I can listen to all those albums, start to finish. I can start with one and go all the way
through, wow.
and not even be bored.
Yeah. And
that
I think that speaks to like the process, the elimination process.
All killer, no filler.
Yeah. That's what we're always going for, and we have to be strategic about it. And Kyle talks about it like when he's cutting down his album. It's like, he's talking about like it's kind of like killing your children. You know? But yeah, no, we really, and he's cool enough that he lets us into the process. But sometimes we'll be like, I'll say, I like to try to stay far enough away from the music making process that I'm not all inside of it, so I can have an objective opinion about it. So I can just be like, I like this or I don't like this, and I'm not attached. You know, there's certain songs where I'll hear him make them from scratch, and I'll be in the studio with him for 6 to 8 hours, and then I'm attached to the song too, and I'm like, oh no, we gotta see this one come out. But then sometimes if I'm not there with him, I'll just be like, I could do without that one, and you know, and he's like, yeah, but I just, you know, like I poured my heart out for this one. And so sometimes he'll go, you know, okay, this one's for me, you know, like he'll be like this, like we'll talk about it, like he's crafting his track list or whatever, and I'll be like, you could probably do without this, and this, and he'll be like, okay, but this one is for me, and he knows it because it's like, it's saying something important, something about it he loves, something about it he wants to share, and now I'm in the place too where I think that's really wonderful too, like when you can go front to back, and we always try to do that, but I think too, in the current climate, it's really hard to get people's attention
with albums.
It's so noisy with albums. People don't really listen to albums.
No,
I notice my own listening behavior has shifted. You know, I'm playlisting stuff. I'm doing other things. You know, I'm pulling tracks off stuff. There's very few artists that I just click play top to bottom. You know, and it's like, am I kind of ashamed of that? Yeah, a little bit, but also just like fuck. It's like just the time we're in. You know, it's like. We have email, but text message.
People don't make albums like that no more.
Right.
Like,
right.
You know, when we were growing up, it was in like, I mean, you can see it in you.
Yeah.
We're crafting the album. That's what you're your words.
Yeah.
Crafting. Some people are like, man, we're going to make an album.
Yeah.
And I've been inside some of these circles where we say, fuck it, just put that song in. Well, it sucks. Fuck it. Who gives a shit? That's fire right there.
Yeah.
And they don't care. Yeah. You know, they're just trying to appease the label.
Yeah. The elimination process is pretty like, it's pretty serious. He's been working on a new one that he's got coming soon, and we've been kind of like eliminating. He started with like 14 tracks, and we were like, cut it down to 11, and then I even suggested a track list that had like 7. You know,
what are we gonna do with the rest? When are you guys gonna put the rest of those songs out? Dude?
Yeah, exactly. And here's the thing. See, that's like you're saying what we're saying. You're saying like, why not just put 20 on it? You know, but like I think you don't put 20 on it is because your experience front to back with it is really unique.
What are you guys doing with those songs? Because when I talked to him, I interviewed him. He alluded to having.
Did you do this one here?
No, just a phone.
Phone, yeah.
When I was alluding, he was alluding to me like, yeah, I have
hundreds of songs.
Just.
I think he's even in the place where he's tired of those songs, like living on hard drives and stuff, or getting too old where you're detached from them and you don't care anymore. Because even like what we're doing with this podcast, right? It's like we could decide, oh, this isn't good enough, let's not put it out.
Yeah.
You know, and it's just like whatever. You know, maybe hopefully someone stumbles across this and gets some valuable information from it. You know, hopefully, you know, in 10 years I can listen back to this and be like, oh yeah, that's where my mindset was at about all this shit or whatever at the time. It's like, I kind of think that even the music making process is that type of growth too, you know? So I think this, to me now, with everything being as noisy as it is, TikTok, Instagram, like everything vying for attention, podcasts, video podcasts, YouTube videos, like all content, even music, is existing kind of for the same finite energetic space for each human, right?
Yes.
And I think that the things that are tried and truly amazing are the cream will rise to the top, right? So, you know, like I Spy is gonna I Spy no matter what the fuck we do, right? Whether at that time, you know, like we could have put that song out and hidden the link somewhere and someone would have found it and shared the fuck out of it.
On some real shit though, like when I Spy comes on,
you skip it, yeah.
I'm so sick of that shit.
You know what's so funny?
And I don't like him being identified as I Spy guy. I don't like that.
Yeah.
Because that's not who he is.
No.
And it's a great song. It's great art, but it just irritates me.
Yeah, I actually, I can echo that. I think to add to that is I Spy is also this big billboard that did bring a lot of people to the party, and hopefully a lot of those people downstream in the marketing funnel. I Spy is at the top of the marketing funnel. All these people are coming in here. Wow, I like this song. Wow, I like this song. You know, passive listeners. Boom, and then you funnel them down the marketing funnel, and then it's like hopefully a decent amount of those people are coming down and experiencing the rest of the music and enjoying it. It's like, you know, it's one of those gifts and a curse things. Because then even for us, it's like we've had to challenge ourselves to kind of like not compare everything we do to that, you know? Yeah. And I think the way Kyle is making music and stuff, sometimes it's like when you have that type of success, you're like, oh, okay, well, like I did that, so I can recreate that. And why isn't these other things that objectively are maybe better? Like even what you would say, like my mom says that all the time. Like even when she introduces people to Kyle's music, she'd be like, this is his biggest song, but in my opinion, I don't think it's his best one, but it's good. But you know what I mean? She like kind of prefaces it like that, but it's like, man, a lot of people are no-hit wonders, you know? And so it's like, I don't think that like when you hear Kyle's catalog, it's like he's made so many brilliant songs and so much amazing shit, and it's like, and the people that it's meant to connect with, it's connected with. And you know, he's had, you know, like I said, we put out an independent Don't Want to Fall in Love has gone viral on TikTok like one time a year for the past 4 years. I know. And that song is now gold, you know, and that's a song that we made in, you know, so I think it's like he's certified in a lot of other ways, and I think that those that know, but it's like, yeah, if you're just a passive listener, it's like you could try. I remember I was hanging out with a friend and I forgot what was happening, but like my friend asked, like he was getting his hair braided, I want to say, and he asked like his hair braider, like, you ever heard that song I Spy? And she's like, yeah, I fucking hate that song. I hear that song everywhere, you know? And it's like that's what happens with shit like that. When it's like you get too big, like something gets big, it's like it reaches out of the thing. But by the way, that's what we were trying to do. We built this really strong niche of 100,000 fans. Kyle had 100,000 Instagram followers when I Spy came out. It was the perfect launching pad for when you put a hit out. It had these 100,000 people that gobbled it up, and then it spread like wildfire, you know. But yeah, I agree with you. I think what you're saying is true.
When you guys came back July 2017 for Surf Rodeo, what was, you guys flew from New York just to do Surf Rodeo?
Yes.
And what was the conversation like? I'm sorry, I'm gonna wrap this up.
No.
Okay.
Let's keep rocking.
Okay, cool.
Rock. I'm here.
All right. So when you guys flew, because that is what made me like, I'll die for this fucker.
Yeah.
Like,
wow.
you're gonna be that way for our hometown.
Yeah.
No matter what you need, I got you.
Yeah.
Like, you guys flew in. Explain to me what happened.
So yeah. So JD, who runs Surf Rodeo,
JD Dury.
yeah, JD Drury, who runs Surf Rodeo, reached out to me and was like, "Look, it's like he kind of caught it early on. Was like, Kyle's blowing up. Like, it'd be just amazing to have him headline the rodeo. You know, like, be really really exciting." And Kyle had played his show, his headline show in March, no April. Yeah, April 29th, I think. Yeah, 2017. He played his headline show, blew out the theater. It was a really exciting moment. And had finished his headline tour and was doing festivals over the summer. And so we were like doing. When is Surf Rodeo? It's in July.
July.
Okay.
It was July like 10th or 17th.
Okay, so Kyle admits this madness, puts out I Spy. We had already happened to have a headlining tour planned. So we were just like, fuck it, let's go on the tour. Because if we didn't get anything to respond, we were gonna pull that tour down and wait till he got his album out. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah.
And in December we had this thing planned for February or March 1, I think it was gonna start. And so this I Spy started going, and we're like, no, let's just keep all those dates and let's just run the tour, even though we didn't have the album done and it wasn't like ready to go, right? Did the tour blew out, it was insane. And then we were set up to do that summer. We were going to do a bunch of festivals, like a festival run. Amidst all that, he gets this script for this movie. At the beginning, it was called the World Star Project, right? That's what it said on the script, because it was like one of the founders of World Star was like involved with it. Anyways, I read the script. The script is basically him and I's story, and I'm like, Kyle, you got to read this, dude. It's like they want you to basically play yourself, but it's kind of like it's a rapper and a manager, you know?
That's what I thought it was. I thought it was just based after you guys. So it's not. It's
So,
it just happened to be that.
Yeah, so it's like the script already had existed. The guy Ian Edelman who wrote the script, he didn't write it based on us. He kind of just wrote it in general, and then he met Kyle and was like, "Whoa, this is amazing!" And like he very much like included me in the creative process and always like was asking my opinion about everything and like involved me and shit. But like, yeah, no, it wasn't originally written about us. As you can tell, they're New York kids. It's like different than my flow, my vibe, but or even Kyle and I's vibe. But we get this script. I'm like, it's really good. Kyle reads it. He loves it. I'm like, we just got to get Kyle with Ian, the director, writer of the show. Cause I was like, I knew when Ian met Kyle, he's going to like love him or whatever. They meet. Ian's like, you're our guy. So the film is developing, right? They're getting other actors. They're trying to find the guy to play the manager. They're trying to find all these other things. And all the while, Kyle's like just, nationwide tour and coming off, getting immediately into festivals. And he's also doing radio shows, which is something that the label usually puts you on. So he's doing these radio shows, which are like a lot of work, by the way, and you don't really make money on them. And like you go play in these like random cities and like,
oh shit,
yeah, that's like kind of it's a grind.
I thought you meant like not interviews.
Well, no, he did like during his headline tour, he was doing radio every single morning. So in all 30 or whatever of the cities he was doing morning shows everywhere, so he did the real radio circuit.
I saw so many of those.
Yeah, he was
like a lot of people didn't get them, huh?
Yeah, no.
They don't understand it.
Yeah, they didn't. At first, they didn't.
Like the same old stupid questions.
But it's cool to kind of get in and, you can't expect somebody to know you right away. Then they meet you and then they kind of, get to know you or whatever. But anyhow, so we get that script, and in July, we find out he gets the role. And they're going to need him for all of August and September, or maybe even part of July. So I think what happened is like we had all these things booked. And JD had talked to us, hey, can we get this done? Can we work it out? And and Kyle and I were kind of thinking the same thing. We were like, man, it would be cool to like go back to Ventura and play the rodeo and play the festival, because it's on the beach still in Pierpont at the time. We just were like, that'll be dope.
Beautiful. Do you have pictures of that day?
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Dog, how beautiful is that?
That was like a core life memory for me.
For me too.
Yeah.
I was like right behind
the stage.
The stage, and I'm recording. And you can, on the right side, you can see the sun going down.
Yeah.
And in the middle, not a space. There's not one space between at least 100 feet.
Yeah. People really showed up and showed out for him. It was dope. It was super. So yeah, like I said, freaking core life memory. And yeah, and so his travel schedule. I don't know where we were coming from at the time, but his travel schedule was insane. Yeah, so if he was in New York, that's where he was shooting the film. So we must have been doing preliminary stuff for the film. But
and I know that you guys came out because me and his dad.
Oh,
we
cool.
we were chatting. I guess he has a daughter. Did he pass away?
He did. He
He
just
did.
recently passed.
My condolences.
Yeah.
So me and him we ended up chatting a lot.
Yeah.
He was always talking about, is Kyle's sister singing?
Yeah, Kyle's
Okay,
sister
that's
Millie. Yeah, Millie she's a rapper.
she's a rapper.
Super talented. Yeah. Yeah.
So that's what he was telling me, and then like he was like, "Yeah, he just came from New York right now." I was like, "What the fuck?"
Yeah. Yeah, no, our his travel schedule is insane.
And I remember like just seeing you guys walk up and everyone just fucking losing it.
Yeah, it was really exciting.
I mean, the only time experience I can compare to that is when Bone Thugs, when they all got out of jail and they were at the Ventura Theater.
Yeah.
That was the other time. Oh my god,
yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And they came in.
There's been some
we interviewed them that day too.
Radical superstar moments for sure. Kyle just last night popped up at the VHS senior barbecue.
Oh shit.
Yeah, and like, yeah, they went crazy for him because he just wanted to kind of like come and show love. He like signed like 1,000 yearbooks. It was great. Yeah.
I love.
No, man, the rodeo was core life moment for sure.
Okay, so you're lifting, right?
Yeah.
What is your like routine? So a lot of people I follow this dude on Instagram. His lift bang run.
Okay, I gotta watch.
And he's taught me a certain way.
Yeah.
And I've gotten results.
Yeah.
Before him, I would pay for programs.
And you
I
weren't
would
getting
just
results, yeah.
I wasn't getting no results. And so in his theory is you target one muscle group a day.
Yeah.
And fuck it up.
Yep.
And that's what I do now.
Yeah.
What is your method?
Okay, so I try to train like 5 or 6 days a week, and I'm going push pull legs, basically. So like on a push day, that would be like chest, shoulders, triceps. A pull day would be back and biceps. And then legs is like we'll have like a quad focused leg day and then a hamstring focused leg day.
Hamstrings suck, huh?
Yeah.
Oh my god. I don't even do it because I get cramped all the time.
Yeah, they're brutal.
And I think I'm gonna tear it.
But it's not. It's cool when you see like when your legs start getting defined and you see like the backside of your leg is fucking strong.
Yeah.
I'm starting. What I'm kind of starting to do is just like check myself for filth on all like basically just the excuses that I'm making. Like if I don't like leg day, that's what I need to prioritize and that's what I need to go the hardest on. Like if there's an exercise I'm avoiding for any fucking reason, after I've established like, okay, these are the best things I should be doing. Like when I know better, I'm like, it is my job right now to start doing better. So anytime I like find myself making an excuse like, I probably shouldn't go as heavy, and I have like a really, really good workout partner buddy, but I actually was training. Who kind of got me back into like hypertrophy and strength training was Whitney Lewis, who used to play football at at St. Bonaventure.
Yeah, St. Bonnie.
Yeah. Him and I he started training me at 24 Hour Fitness in Santa Monica, and he just kind of like helped. He built me like a little program that just kind of re-engage. Because basically what I was like saying is I was like, I feel like I'm always like eating healthy. I'm exercising all the time. I was doing like a lot of HIIT and like a lot of hot yoga, but I'm like, I don't feel like I'm cut up. I don't feel like I'm very strong. And by the way, I don't feel great, but I'm always eating healthy. I'm doing all the health modalities. I'm being consistent. And I think I just needed to turn up the dial on my strength training and my hypertrophy training and just get my diet like dialed. And that was one thing. It's like, I was like, I never want to weigh food. That sounds miserable. Or I don't want to eat the same thing every day.
Are you weighing food?
Yeah.
Fuck.
Yeah.
Fuck, I got to do it, huh?
You got to do it.
Okay,
yeah.
all right.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
can you walk me through that?
Yeah.
Like, what does it look like?
So I basically train every single day, like right around noon. I try to like designate just like 90 minutes in the middle of my day. So I'll wake up and kind of get through some of like my little morning stuff and then work on some things, be on email, do calls, team calls. And then right around lunchtime or whatever, I take like a little break and go train while I still have like good energy. Before it gets too late in the day, when you start making excuses,
exactly.
Like
that's
what
I
don't
do.
know if I want to go today. It's 5 p.m. All the gym's gonna be packed. I like try to get it done before then, right?
Mm-hmm.
And having the workout partner as an accountability partner is great because it's like you got this other person showing up at this time. So it's like I can't, even though he'll laugh because I'm 5 minutes late every single day, but I can't actually like cat on him. You know, I got to show up. You know what I mean? We've like decided we're gonna do this, so. That's great. I think that is really crucial because on the days when I'm not training with my partner, a lot of times my 12 will turn into 2 p.m., that turns into 4 p.m., that turns into I'm too tired and the gym's packed, you know? So I'm fortunate enough I work from home and for myself where I can create that little gap in the day, you know? And I also just like it. It's energizing because then in the afternoon I get back to work and I'm like already done my thing and I can kind of like, even in the early evening, I can wind down earlier because I'm not like, oh, I need to go to the gym still.
Yeah.
So
It's
my
exactly
training
the
is
same time I train.
Okay.
I'm a contractor.
Yeah.
And I'm a manager at my job, a government contractor. And guess what? I can go when I want, you know? So I just go for an hour and a half.
Yeah.
I come back to office.
Yeah.
Let's go again.
Yeah. It's really great. So if you have the freedom to do that, I think that's wonderful. And then, yeah, I'm doing those push pull legs, and I'm basically focusing on just like picking up the heaviest weight that I can pick up for as many reps as I can with great form. Taking myself as close to failure as I possibly can get, you know. I'm doing a lot of barbell exercises like on legs. It's like squats and front squats. It's
goblet squats.
Yeah, hip thrusts. It's a little bit of leg press. It's hack squats. It's, hamstring curls, both seated and lying hamstring curls. It's leg extensions. It's just all the normal shit. But what I just realized is I really figured out kind of like the RPE, which I don't even know what that stands for, but basically taking the rep range as close to failure as you possibly can. So like an RPE of 10 is to complete failure, right? And I think that really challenging your body and trying to reframe like the pain of working out into, oh no, this is just stimulating the muscle growth. So until I feel pain, I'm not doing anything really. I think that is good. I think there's just what I love so much about like strength training, hypertrophy training is like the ROI on it is so clear and direct. Like it's like the most what you get in is what you put out, or what you put out is what you get in type of thing ever. It's like the perfect transaction, which I love. If I eat, like, it's science as far as like calories and macronutrients. Okay, my body is, burning this amount of calories. If I eat at a 300 calorie deficit, I'll lose 1 pound of body fat per week. If I'm eating enough protein, it's protecting the muscle, or I'm even building muscle. It's like such a direct transaction that I just love it. Because, it's like so much of what we do as creative people and in business, it's like you'll work on something and then it won't pay off for 10
for
years. Yeah, or like you feel like you're on a hamster wheel. You're like, is this ever going to work? And then like you go to the gym, and by the way, it's like so incremental. So that's what you realize too, is like, I've been like super dialed on strength training since last July. So I'm coming up on a year, but like the gains that I've made, it's like, I basically went from 176 pounds at 18.5% body fat to now I'm 170 pounds at like 12.5% body fat.
You're 170?
Yeah.
Bro, you do not look 170.
I'm pretty light. It's funny, like guys will tell me that in the gym all the time.
I'm looking at you.
It's like always guys. It's
210.
They laugh because it's like all the memes about like working out and hoping that like chicks will notice, but it's just a bunch of bros being like, you look great, bro. It's like, but no, people have told me that when I tell them that I'm 170, I was like, I'm light. And the funny thing is I was always a basketball player and I'm an ectomorph, so I kind of have a thin build. But the thing is, I look at it like I started looking good once I started getting under 15% body fat. So you start cutting up whatever muscle you have, especially if you're training muscles hard, like that little, like whatever the fuck you see is because I'm lean enough so you can see it. So that's the thing that I'm kind of been cutting recently. And the first thing I did was between July of last year and like, I want to say it was like February or March of this year, I did like a full body recomp where I went from 18.5% at 176 to just under 15 at 175. So I was like lost 8 pounds of fat, gained 8 pounds of muscle, which I was proud of. There you go, my
dude.
Yeah, that's what I was like really proud of that.
Do you scroll Instagram?
Yeah.
Just for the hell of it?
Yeah, of course.
Do you know Mike? I think it's Mike. They call him Michael Tran. But I think it's
I've probably seen that. Is he like one of like the trend guys that is like either talking shit about people who are taking steroids or
no. So it's like, baby, don't hurt me. That
yeah,
guy,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
where
yeah, yeah, yeah,
where
yeah,
he's
yeah.
like, he's just like super dumb, and he's like 52 years old, and he's talking about, yeah, I'm natty.
Yeah, and
And he's like so dead.
jacked. Yeah.
You're not 52. You don't at 52 years old. You don't carry that weight like that.
Yeah.
And it's just funny. I love him. That's my spirit animal, right?
Yeah, Michael Cheney's. Yeah, I know exactly who you're talking about. It's like the blonde guy with like the blue eyes, and he just is like. Wait, is that his real name? They call him Michael Trent.
Mike O. Trent.
Mike O. Trent, but Michael Hearn.
Michael Hearn. Yeah, that's it. Michael Hearn.
Michael Hearn, class, dude, just legend, just such a liar.
Dude,
though.
if I can, that's my.
But you know who else is lying, by the way? All of Hollywood actors are full of shit.
Oh, for sure.
These guys are all on steroids and none of them are talking about it. And I get why they don't talk about it because it would glorify it more, right? Like when you see, and I actually think Michael B. Jordan isn't on steroids because but like The Rock, and granted The Rock is 40 or whatever, maybe even 50. Yeah, so The Rock is like definitely on TRT or whatever, and God bless
TRT
him.
Is
and by the way, Rock is a pro wrestler who was doing steroids his whole career,
right?
Whatever.
And for people listening at home, TRT is okay if it's doctor prescribed and you're not abusing it.
Yeah, exactly. And it's just replacing the testosterone to like.
But like when you're taking Anabol, when you're taking Tren, when you're taking, I mean, that stuff will fuck.
Yeah, like who's the guy who played opposite Michael B. Jordan in this latest Creed?
Oh shit! Yeah, I know who you're talking about. I don't.
Yeah.
know
Anyways, he's like going on like Good Morning America and talking about how he's 6% body fat and how he like eats 4,000 calories a day, and I'm just like, you're on steroids.
Yeah.
You know, like and like God bless you, because by the way, it's still like when you're on steroids, it still takes a shitload of work.
Yeah, it's not like you take steroids and like, look, I'm fucking yoked.
Yeah, it's like those guys are still putting in the work. And by the way, when you're on steroids, it just allows you to put in more work and recover faster. So you're actually probably spending more time in the gym.
Yeah, you are.
That's what they were saying. The clearest thing about like The Rock's like training regimen is like he's training for 2 hours a day, like six days a week, and they're just basically saying like, you know, any like natural person, like their body would start like breaking down, you know. I see a lot of guys talking about like 3-day training, but just going like way more intense and way heavier.
So on the media end, bro, I'll be interviewing certain people for the magazine for whether it's a movie role or musicians, and I'll get a phone call like right before the interview. Hey, you're not allowed. He doesn't want you to bring up. We don't want you to talk about this, or that, and don't even tiptoe around it. You don't bring it up at all. You don't even bring up fitness.
Yeah. Wow.
So I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
And then one time I was like, oh, fuck you, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm gonna do what I want. And then they hung up on me.
Yeah.
So I was like, but I wasn't even like, I was like, your body is real nice. What do you do?
Click. Yeah. I mean, I get it. Like, whatever. They're trying to sell.
But I mean, I have that footage. I recorded it. It's not like I don't have it.
Yeah. If you wanted to.
If I wanted to burn them out, you know, that's what I would do.
Yeah.
You want some personal questions?
Sure.
All right. This is a little like softer side of red light.
Okay.
All right.
Good. Purple light.
The purple light. What is your mom and dad's signature dish?
This, like, one thing I can always count on is my mom makes these like really good like healthy cookies where it'll just be like oats, banana, like dark chocolate. They're really good, and I can count on them to be there. It's almost like a little homemade granola bar type thing, but it's a cookie. But it's just my mom just is so dialed on cooking and like food and healthy food and preparing it super healthy, like never any seed oils, never any junk, like always as organic as it gets. So I think I even get a lot of the fitness stuff from them because my parents are, like I said earlier, they're like in such good shape. And so I'm trying to think. She makes like really good meatloaf that is like bomb that I like.
What about your pops?
He's always cooking salmon and steaks. Yeah, like just a tri-tip, he'll kill it. Trying to think of other things. They would laugh because they have so many signature dishes.
What is your like the one thing, or two things, because I have two things. I'll share you with mine. Two things you just can't stay away from, like on your diet.
Ooh.
Mine is peanut butter. But I do all organic peanut butter, you know, nothing, no sugars added, just the peanuts smashed up.
Yeah.
And then I also do Diet Pepsi.
Okay, so like my thing recently has been like these like keto like ice cream bars that I'll eat. Yeah, like I'll eat those. I'll eat almost every single night.
Like I have them my
yeah, like 150 calories.
Yeah.
But I like to that I also try. To me, like when I was like trying to figure out my diet, everything was on the chopping block. I was like, I don't give a fuck about any of this shit. Because I realized that once I simplified my diet and I fed myself basically like what my muscles wanted to grow or my body wanted to produce the best, most sustained energy, like I'll eat 8 ounces of ground beef just by itself, like put some mustard on it, stir it up, put it in the microwave, and it's like warm, grass-fed, grass-finished ground beef, and it's like the most people. I kind of eat like a lab rat. I'll prep like pollo asado chicken and like put a half cup of rice on it and put some like tapatio on it. Like once I kind of was like, okay, I'm gonna get dialed on my diet. I just basically was like, I'm not beholden to like any of this bullshit. I don't give a fuck what it is. Feed me what is going to be the best for me to grow. And I feel like that is why I've actually made gains, is because I just like, I'm not precious about any of it. But then like, I think it's fun to have an ice cream bar. It's fun to like, you know, I love Greek yogurt.
I smoke too much weed. Bro, I smoke weed at night to go to bed. So at first they had me on all these fucking pills, right? I was in the military. And, you know, I'm diagnosed like 80% disability or whatever. So they used to just give me Vicodins and fucking Lexapro and all this bullshit. I was like, no, fuck that. I'm not going to take it no more. If I have problems sleeping, I'm just going to smoke some weed and go to bed.
Yeah.
Well, I find out, I smoke some weed, go upstairs, wake up at 2 o'clock in the morning, go downstairs, don't even know I'm doing it, right?
Yeah, you got like peanut butter on top of Oreos.
Yeah, no, not Oreos. I don't go that far.
Okay,
I just out of the jar, just peanut butter.
Peanut butter's incredible.
I fucking love it.
You know what peanut butter is really fucking good too is Jif. Waxy. It's like it's got all the junk and hydrogenated oils and bullshit in it, but that stuff is so fucking
so good.
Yeah.
And me and my family, we fight.
I laugh because I think that if there's something that's really good, it's your body is like, okay, I heard somebody say this one time and it kind of blew my mind. They were like, the reason candy is like so appetizing or donut is so appetizing is because our bodies are whatever, millions of years old, right? When you taste that, there's nothing in nature that produces that macronutrient split. The amount of fats, sugars, carbohydrates that is like hitting you, like it's ringing off your dopamine system so crazy because it's like it's so foreign to your body. But then once you get it, because the dopamine system like kind of has an equal fall, you kind of need that again to pull it back up. So I thought about that and I was like, oh, that makes so much sense. So once you start, not to be like the corny person, but it's like once you start removing a lot of that junk out of your diet, your taste buds kind of start like drinking a soda would be disgusting to me right now. I'll drink those like twist of lime Topo Chicos and it tastes like Sprite to me. But that's because I just haven't drink. And I know people use diet soda, and I know that works and stuff like that. But I'm just like, I don't know.
Anytime I drink regular soda, like
I just don't right do it away,
anymore. And like I feel it in my skin.
Wow.
My body slows down.
Yeah.
And then I crave another soda.
Yeah.
And so I catch that. And I'm like, fuck you. Go get some water.
Yeah.
And then just get out of my system.
Yeah. No, soda's insane. I mean, just how we eat is insane. I feel like, to be honest, a lot of this shit to me is like pushing back against like corporate America in a bit.
Ooh.
I feel like eating super sustainable, healthy food, not being addicted to sugar, not being like having zero vices that are like helping the Coca-Cola company, is like really important because it's like those people are like poisoning the country. They're making the country so unhealthy, and the reason it's like you can't have a healthy country without healthy individuals.
We end up doing like this conspiracy. We do a conspiracy like corner on our show, right?
Dope.
And we did the water conspiracy. So if you've been overseas, right?
Yeah.
It's different water, right?
Yeah.
Well, because there's minerals in that water.
Yeah.
and it's from the ground, and it replenishes your deepest cells
Yep.
at its core. And what you're doing when we're buying these bottled purified water is we're just quenching the thirst, but not quenching the cells in our body.
Right.
So we end up doing research on what's the best water to drink.
Yeah.
And the best water to drink in the United States is Arrowhead,
No way.
the one that tastes like shit.
No way.
So you compare that, you compare the cancer rate to
UK?
Europe.
Europe, yeah.
The cancer rate in the United States is way more higher. The death rate from cancer in those countries are lower
Yeah.
or higher. The death rate for cancer in the United States is lower.
Yeah.
But the amount of people that have cancer in the United States. But then you go and you realize that the United States, they lobbied so hard, for these companies have lobbied so hard that they allowed like red dye number 13. There's all these poisons that they're putting in your food that are causing cancer, but it's okay because the pharmaceutical companies, they're fixing us
Exactly.
and sending us back out to get cancer again. So let's just say 30 people. It's not 30 people.
No,
30 people
following you,
in
I'm following.
UK get cancer,
They all die. 300 get it in America.
and then so you got 15 people or 30 people in or 30 cases of cancer in the United States, but they're doubled down because they went back out into the system and got sick again.
Yeah, no. The whole thing is it's a bunch of fucking bullshit, and that's why I'm like, you have to just know what you're eating. I like now I have like my tinfoil hat like fitness.
I
Like,
know, dude.
Twitter. I have like my tinfoil hat fitness Twitter account where I just like talk shit basically about like, because I'm just like a lot of this stuff I'm coming to on. Water is one thing that I'm coming to on. All the fucking chlorine in tap water is insane. I refuse to drink tap water now. And by the way, I don't want microplastics from plastic bottles. So now I'm drinking water out of a glass bottle. I don't care if I have to pay more because and so like I get water delivered to my house and it's in glass, and it's real proper spring water that has like a perfect pH balance. So it's like it's mineralized appropriately and stuff. And it's like I pay a premium for that, but I think it's like this is the medicine. Like that is the medicine. Like if you have to go to a store to fix a symptom, it's like the symptom is underneath. The other industry that's insane is the skincare industry. It's like that is the biggest scam ever
In the world.
It's just a scam. It's insane. Like sunscreen is giving you cancer. It's not.
Do you know
the sun doesn't give you cancer. Sunscreen gives you cancer.
When I was in the service and we would go out, they would tell us don't put sunscreen on.
Yeah.
I mean, why?
Yeah, because
Why
they
would
know.
you tell me? Don't do it.
Yeah.
And it wasn't like don't do it. Hey, this one guy said don't do it. All right, and make sure not to put in your handbook. Make sure not to put on sunscreen.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a scam, dude. All that shit is a scam.
All right,
Beauty products scam, anyways.
beautiful. Yeah. Okay. Another question: If you were to walk in a room right now with everybody alive that you've ever met, alive or dead, who are you looking for?
Oh, jeez. Wow. I don't have an interesting answer for that one. Let's go to the next
All
one.
right.
That's a good question. That's interesting. Made me think.
What's your biggest blunder as a manager?
Oh.
Did you already think of it right away?
No.
Oh, okay, good.
Yeah, yeah.
That means you're not a big
There's
fuck up.
definitely some, for sure. Man, I mean, I've just been fortunate that my clients have trusted me and like allowed me to essentially learn on the job, you know what I mean, and feel it out with them, because it's like, I told you the story of when I started when I was like whatever 21 years old, and it's like I was extremely green. So, I've grown up in the business with Kyle. I've grown up in the business with other people that I've worked with. So I just am thankful that they've been compassionate and kind enough, believed in me enough, and trusted that my heart was in the right place when like guiding their career and stuff. I can't think of like something where I like literally just like completely fucked it off, but I'm sure it's happened time and time again. Yeah, I'm not immune to that. I can't think of something, and I can't think of something that's anecdotally funny enough either. I'm trying to think. Oh, I'll tell you one story. So early in one of Kyle's tours, basically, my best friend Jesus Araujo, shout out to Jesus. You know Jesus?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, he's Larry June's tour manager. He's actually really like he's grown up alongside me in the business, and now he has like a really great tour manager position, and it's been cool because it's like we started that together. You know, I like brought him along, was like, come do this with me. You know, so but like Kyle, I wasn't so when Kyle first. It's maybe his second tour, maybe like I would hop off the tour and meet him back up and hop off because they would be traveling in a 15-passenger van. A lot of times I'd be at home dealing with some of the like administrative shit. I'd be on email, taking calls, kind of like focused on whatever the next thing we were doing was. But early on, I was like kind of being the tour manager from home where I would like book the hotels for the guys. I would kind of create the routing for Jesus. So I just send him an address and be like, this is the venue address. This is the hotel. I'd send him like a little itinerary, even via text or like something where it's so simple where it's like, this is the venue address. This is the point of contact. This is the whatever. So, cause he was driving the van. So it's like a lot of this admin stuff. It was like easy cause I was at home on the computer. And their show, I think, was in Orlando or something. And I sent them the information for like Fort Lauderdale or something like that. So then they went. Did like
catch?
So what I would do sometimes is send them like 3 days in advance of like these are the next things, right? So they'd have it, and then he'd hit me up, and then I'd send him the next one, whatever. And I think that they like pulled up to the venue in whatever wrong Florida city it was, and then they were like, "Our show isn't till tomorrow, and we're here." And they were like, "Oh fuck!" And so they had to like race 2 hours to like, which was cool because it was like at least it was. They still made the show.
All right,
but I almost caused them to miss a show.
But take that as a note if you guys are writing a story or writing a movie or something.
Yeah, no,
because that's fun. That's a good like.
It's a fun.
Oh my god, you know what I mean?
And I think I blame Jesus, by the way. So sorry about that, Jesus. Sorry about that.
I was there. You did it, Jesus.
Yeah.
I saw you fucking up.
But I mean, maybe it was my. It's just like it's one of those things where a lot of times like
shit happens.
Yeah, and you know what I realized too is in the music business, what can go wrong will unequivocally 100% of the time 100%. Go wrong. So it's like I even like the fact that like when your team gets to a place where it's like people are taking responsibility for making errors, but people are just rolling with the punches and not like pointing fingers and blaming things because it's like, by the way, it's just super scrappy and all of this shit is going to get fucked up. Like what we've learned is like, you know, really early on, it was really hard for us because we were like so obsessed with trying to do things the right way. And we always thought like we'd be like prepping for this tour like super far in advance. And then all of a sudden we started doing bigger tours and we were like, we just knew, look, the first show is going to be a complete fucking and utter nightmare. Nothing is going to be there. Some of the merch won't arrive, even if we order it months in advance. Some of the stage production's not going to fit. Fucking you know, whatever's going to like, you know, you guys, you're going to miss cues. You're going to do that. People are going to, what, you know, and then all of a sudden you just like, you stop caring because you're just like, okay, this is like part of how it goes.
This is how it is.
Yeah, I think that's something that is like remained true.
I like that though, dog. Like I love like that camaraderie with the boys.
Yeah.
And knowing that things are gonna fuck up and seeing how we react to each other and just taking the punches and then just like putting on, you know, venue performances and the music awards and shit like that.
Yeah.
And then at the end we're like, hey, you fucked up, bro. You like and then we like fuck with each other when it's all said and done.
All said and done. Yeah. Like I think that's crucial. It's like being able to take responsibility fast, clean, but then like people rolling with it, pivoting if you have to, encouraging people, like not losing confidence in people, you know? I think that's like really, really important.
I think we got to put you in the Hall of Fame next, buddy.
Dude, that would be sick.
Dude, you're a legend here.
My boy. Yeah, thank you.
We'll try to put you and Pat in the same class.
Yeah, Pat who?
Anderson.
Oh, okay. Oh, Pac. Yeah, that would be really fun. Man, I'd love that. You know what's funny is it's funny you said that, and I think during my speech at the awards, I said something like that, where like I have so much pride in Ventura and 805 that like when I was first being exposed to like the music business, I was like, man, I want to like do it from here. Like
Yeah.
being here and exposing people to like to us was like really a super motivating factor for me, you know. And I felt like, man, Ventura is the most beautiful place in the world, and if we could just show people. And then I like early on in my career, it was like throwing little local events, parties, stuff to kind of try to bring culture here and do cool shit here for like my friends, because I saw, man, like what we're doing is cool, you know. And so with Kyle, it's like we've been able to achieve that. And I remember like very early on, like I was like keen on like Kyle like repping Ventura, because he's born in the Valley, you know, and he moved to Ventura like before high school and stuff. And he took that on, a lot of that on himself, because he felt like he was molded as an artist in Ventura a lot. But like I was always keen on being like, dude, no, like we have to rep Ventura, like that, like that's where we're from, like that's what we got to rep, and it's unique. I felt like it was unique. It's part of the story. It's part of the whatever. So the fact for you to even say that is like a lot of the reason I even pursued this was just because I just wanted to be legit in my hometown, kind of, you know, and like I think I still have such like just admiration and love for Ventura.
And your story's not done.
Yeah, exactly.
You're gonna be great. You're gonna be great.
Thanks,
I know
bro.
it. I feel it.
Thank you, bro.
And I'm proud of you. I'm proud to know you, and
man,
I'm so gracious for your time.
Oh yeah, thank you.
You're a fucking, you're a great dude.
Thank you,
Don't
bro.
ever lose who you are.
Man, thank you. Means
welcome.
so much. Means so much. Thank you for your support too. It means the world. I mean, even to hear how close you are to Kyle's music and stuff is like really, really special, because you know, we're just doing it, man. He's doing it, and you know, it's funny when you're a kid. Like we spent a lot of time kind of going, man, when are people in Ventura gonna start fucking with us, you know, and like start really like kind of getting it and like understanding it. And then you kind of realize, you know what, that doesn't matter. And as soon as you stop caring, you're like, oh, there's everybody, you know.
And you know what's funny about that whole thing with Kyle and his music is, I'm like bred punk rock kid.
Yeah, I can tell. The reason why why it means something to me is I can tell that it's like you're not our target demographic
At all.
You know. But the fact that you can kind of like relate to it, identify with it, and like
it reminds me of when I was a kid.
Yeah.
When I was younger, you know, I'm not like so much older than, you know, I'm about 7 years older than you, I think.
Yeah, yeah.
So that means I'm probably 10 years.
Yeah, older
or
than
11.
Yeah.
But with it reminds me of when I was a kid and walking and the, you know, just being a kid and remembering that life isn't about like taking yourself so seriously and like trying to flex on people, and it reminds me that I fucked up by trying to be that person at one point in time.
Yeah. Man, Kyle has such a cool way of like tapping into that carefree nature and that like that creativity and that childlike spirit. You know, he's really, really special at that. And I think that's what people feel, you know, when they feel his music. That was something that I kind of saw really early on in him, and I was like, nah, you got to do that. Even though there was a lot of, you know, there's a lot of people who don't like him for that same reason, but I think that is like, that's what it is. You want the art to divide the audience. You want the people that connect with it to love it and really connect with it. You know, when you're kind of just making like mainstream sounding shit for the radio, you know, any success we've had has happened on any success we've had has happened on a complete accident. It's just been him being him, you know, and us doing our best job to market it and sell it and you know, make it feel super genuine and super authentic. So, you know, I think like, you know, to me, I like to think about it as like, we're not you know, we're not chasing the success, we're attracting it, you know. And it gets kind of dangly because you're like, oh, you know what the success brings, especially when you've had it before. But I'm kind of like, yeah, but we didn't do that in the past, so even if we tried, it probably wouldn't work for us. We got to just continue to just be ourselves,
have fun,
open up that vessel, work hard, and then just attract it, you know.
Is there part 2 of that movie coming out?
Dude, there better be. So it's funny because Harrison, the guy I always introduce him as, this is the guy who played me in the after party. Like whenever I'm talking to girls, especially,
Yeah.
like he actually played my character. If you've seen the movie, but
Okay, I
Oh,
found
shit.
this on the web for is there a part to the movie come out? Did there better be so? It's funny cause Harrison
goes-
the
he
guy
goes
the
along
guy
with
was
it.
Oh my
introduced in
god. Oh, shh.
she was like
Fucking
reading
Siri.
the whole thing.
I know. She transcribed the whole interview.
Yeah, that's actually good. I feel like there's definitely tech for doing that now. But
For sure.
you know, Kyle is like constantly has his hands in like 3 different film projects right now. He's working on an anime that's really exciting
Perfect
with
for him,
Carl
huh?
Jones and Colin Kaepernick. That's really cool. Yeah, we're always got several irons in the fire. Me and Harry, the dude who played me in the movie, and Kyle have been talking about we got to just write the after party too. You know, we got to just do it because it's funny. Like the movie was really successful on Netflix. I think it was like a global top 25 movie for weeks on end. For
Bro, I watched
whatever
it, like,
reason
3
they
times.
didn't. For whatever reason they didn't just instantly pick up the sequel. I think that what they wanted to do was they wanted the director to just write the script, and I think that there was a stalemate because I think the director wanted a certain amount of money to write the script, and they weren't willing to do it. But I think if they got the script, they would have produced it. It got caught up in some bureaucracy, I think, unfortunately, and so
Such a
now
good
Kyle
movie.
is going like Kyle and Harry are going, fuck it, we got to write it ourselves. And then that's the thing that I think that's fun is like, you know, especially for business people like me, it's like, okay, let's just go out and maybe like try to find the funding. Let's see if we can go raise $10 million and shoot a movie. Like that's exciting to me, you know.
I mean,
But
I think
Netflix
that
has the rights to it.
you're in a position that where you can do that.
Yeah. I mean, and especially when you have like something that's like they can watch the after party 1 or they can watch the original on Netflix like right now.
And it'll boost ratings for them.
Yeah,
And
and I've noticed
subscribers.
that's been like popping up on my like Netflix again a bunch. Interesting DMs about that like daily. Like what a cool project, you know, that like brings in so many new audience. Like he'll get recognized like randomly in the street. Like, oh, you're in that movie. Especially when it came out, it was crazy because people would be like, "Do you make music?" And we're thinking he's got like biggest song in the country. Everyone knows him, right? We're like thinking that, but then he's like, it just brought in so much new audience because people are seeing him in the movie and be like, "Oh, this kid must be a rapper," like, or he should be if he's not. You know, it's like, oh yeah, no. It's cool to see Jack Harlow kind of have like similar success with the White Man Can't Jump thing. Like I watched that, I really liked it. I thought it was really dope.
Oh, I haven't seen that. I'll check it out.
Yeah.
All right, let me see. I think I have 2 more questions for you, my man.
Yeah.
What's your dream concert?
Ooh, dream concert.
Alive, or dead or alive. 4 people on the bill.
4 people, okay. It's got to be Tupac, Aaliyah. These are ones that are just like coming off the top. Bob Marley.
I'm with that.
I'm probably
I'm with that.
forgetting somebody so obvious. And maybe just Mac Miller, you know. Man, like, it's crazy because I ran into Mac. I hadn't seen him since I toured with him. And then I ran into him 2 months before he passed with his boy Q. And his boy Q, of course, remembered me. I had stayed in touch with Q a little bit. And Q had known the success I went on to have with Kyle. So, like, when they met me, I wasn't working with Kyle. And then immediately after I started, and it was like, whatever, 6 or 8 years of, like, grinding. And Kyle had, like, blown up. And Q introduced me as Mac. And he was like, this is Nolan. Remember, he was, like, with Pac Div, because I was like shooting photos and video with them. He's like their photographer, and Mac's like, yeah, no, I remember you. And Q was like, yeah, he manages Kyle now, and he's like, yo, that's so dope, blah blah blah. And I just was like, yeah, it's crazy. I haven't seen you in all these years, but it's like, yeah, we've had some success with Kyle. He's like, yeah, no, you guys are killing it. And it's so funny because I say that to say too is like, I remember that night going, I want to take a picture with Mac, because on the tour I took a bunch of photos of him. But I never took a photo with him because I just was like, I don't want to be corny and like and I was doing that
You don't
thing.
want to be a mark or anything.
Yeah. And I just was like, I'm kind of from the era of like like selfie with every person on earth. And so I just was like, that's kind of corny. Like, I don't want to do that. And then in retrospect, I'm like, dude. So I always just say, if you see somebody and you want to take a picture of them with them, you should definitely do that and ask.
How'd
you
you
never know
take
when they're gonna be
the
gone.
death?
Man, it was hard. It was really, really hard.
Because that's like the catalyst of your career.
Yeah.
Him.
Yeah, it was really interesting because it helped me honestly, like, it helps me kind of understand him a little bit. It really helped me. I mean, I don't want to say helped, but like I connected to his, because he had just put out an album, and I was like listening to that album, and I was like, whoa, especially like after he passed, it was like contextualized so much of that album, and it was just heartbreaking. It was unnecessary. It was sad.
Did you ever fall into anything like that?
No, no, I'm not like, I've never had like substance abuse issues personally. I've been like really, really fortunate to have like a really strong support system, and been too interested in like fitness and training, and
Yeah.
had times where I've probably drank more than enough.
Yeah,
Too much drinking occasionally, but no, I haven't. I've been fortunate enough to have avoided some of that stuff, but I know that's a real problem, and I felt really really sad about it, because you just kind of wonder, like, I don't know, man. Mac was like very, very, very talented, and it's just sad that he had to go so soon.
Yeah.
As fans, as people who support him, and
It's just young.
and whatever was causing the substance abuse, whether it's like, I was with him in a really early stage of his life when he first started getting public criticism, and I saw kind of how he was responding to it. And I remember even early on kind of going, wow, I think he's on drugs. And I think I was turned out to be right about it. And I didn't want to be judgmental or whatever, but I couldn't imagine what it would have been like to be an 18-year-old. And I interviewed his boy Q actually about it. And we talked really, really like intimately about like that situation. Cause I asked him, I was like, I was close enough to guys. I wasn't doing drugs with you guys, or I don't even know what you guys were doing, but I just remember but the pressure kind of was mounting on Mac. He had a #1 album in the country. He's 18 years old. Like, I couldn't even imagine that. I was like, I was 21
tough.
and having
it's tough, that pressure.
Yeah, and he's becoming famous, and people he admires are talking shit about him online. Other rappers are hating on him because they're not having the success he's having. So I think that he started feeling that pressure of like becoming a public figure, but he was really just a happy-go-lucky, super sweethearted, and just insanely talented artist. I mean, I remember watching those concerts, and like I said, I wasn't necessarily like a fan of his going into it, but then I'm like, he had these breaks in these concerts where he's just like shredding the guitar, and I'm like, who is this guy?
Just the way he composed his music.
Yeah, and his music, just in the way he evolved. I mean, yeah.
Like, from everything, he didn't shy away from using any spectrum of the music. From going back to blues and jazz and just incorporating it all. You can hear it in a lot of his you can hear it as an influence in his music.
He was just all world for sure. Yeah, insane. So I mean, but I wasn't close. Like I said, I was around him on that tour, and then I didn't see him until 2 months before he passed. So he wasn't in my life day to day. So, but I just remember being really impacted by that, kind of going, whoa, this actually can spin out,
Mm-hmm.
and it's not promised,
Tomorrow isn't.
Yeah.
All right, last question.
Yeah.
What dude would you want to cuddle?
Oh, jeez.
You don't have to cuddle.
You right now. You with all those muscles, that vein, you with that left arm vein.
Hell yeah, dude.
And how nice you're talking about me on this podcast.
I just saw that was like a question that I opened the show with, back in 2020 when I was going through I'm looking for like a section of, I knew there was one. Oh, here it is. There it is. What's your motto in life? That's the one I was looking for.
What's my what?
Motto in life?
Motto in life. I always just say, be a student of the game. That's I feel like being a student of the game has like gotten me to where I'm at. That I learned that kind of phrase when I was coming up playing basketball and baseball and just soaking up as much game as I possibly could, from people who were playing good to watching. I feel like you can soak up game with every single sense. You can watch it, you can hear it, you can what?
You a Laker fan?
Oh yeah, die hard.
There you go.
Yeah,
me too.
Yeah, die hard. So, and I think that it applies to just life, the game of life, right? Just being curious. That's what's going to lead you and help you find your passions and things you're interested in. And then, you know, there's just so much to learn out there. So I feel like my curiosity and me being a student of the game has created what I deem to be a beautiful life so far. So I'm gonna keep doing that.
Fuck, man, we went for 2 hours, bro.
Lovely.
And I enjoyed every second. It didn't even feel like 2 hours.
Yeah, we floated.
I'm so sorry.
No,
if I kept you longer.
You know what's funny is like when you said 45 minutes, I'm kind of like, well, I'm pretty long-winded, so we'll see how this goes. We'll see how
well, because like I was like, all right, maybe I can just, you know, because you asked about the time, I was like, 30, 45 minutes.
Yeah, because you probably can keep
move around, yeah. And then, but I just got lost in our conversation.
No, it was lovely.
I just got lost.
It was really special. It was really, really special. We got to get Kyle to do one of these.
Yeah, dude, I would love to.
Next time he's in, I'll have him pop by.
Yeah,
next time he's in town.
I think that I have so many questions for him too.
Yeah, no, and I know you'll dig in. You'll dig deep on the.
I always look for something like that of his.
Yeah.
And like to quench my thirst of that.
Yeah.
But I fucking hate it. I go to his TikTok live.
Yeah.
But people on there are fucking idiots, man. It makes me like I just talk shit to all the people in the comments.
Oh,
like,
okay.
Who are you?
You want like a deep? You want like a long form podcast style thing, like a 2-hour thing where you can learn about him and get his perspective on shit. And there's nobody else to create it but you, man. I know my. Do you know Big Pep? Do you know Pep? Arajo. He was formerly Logic's security guard. He actually lives not far from here, but he has a podcast too called Pep Talk Podcast. Yeah, it would be cool for you and him to jam. I think you guys would vibe. I'll connect you with him.
Pep,
but he has a podcast. I have my own podcast. I don't want to interview Kyle right. It's called Student of the Game. I don't want to interview Kyle right away because I have like 20 episodes in the vault that I need to kind of like start rolling out. Maybe I'll chat with you about that.
Yeah,
did these go up on Spotify and stuff and everything?
No. I just put them on YouTube.
Oh, okay. Oh, cool. Oh, it's just video. Sick.
Yeah.
Oh, sick.
I don't.
How quick does it go up?
This one will be up next Friday.
Oh, wow.
So it's always 1 week in advance.
Cool.
Like tonight we have like this one's I have to put it up in 2 spots. Like tonight we have 3 bands on this podcast and.
So it's not just the segment.
No, this one I can just put this one up probably
by itself if you want.
Monday.
Oh wow, cool, yeah. No pressure. Do what you do. I just
but the show, like we have a musical guest every week, different from local talents.
Yeah.
And then we talk shit or we talk conspiracies or we talk like current events and how we view them.
Yeah.
Or we talk about our lives and like for instance tonight. Maybe I'll cut this out or maybe not.
Oh man.
Then we find out this dude, not him. The guy that sits right there. So it doesn't even know. No one knows who I'm pointing at.
Yeah.
And he starts spending. We find out that he's on TikTok, spending like $900 on bitches. Like we found this out this past week. So motherfucker, you're over here.
Crazy.
You've been on TikTok?
Yeah. So you're gonna fucking
confront
him live?
We gotta talk about this shit.
Yeah.
And then this asshole, the other one, he's all pissed off at me because he has to spin the wheel tonight. And he was supposed to be there on Friday. We had an event on Friday. He didn't show up. Or he showed up. He's supposed to show up at 2. Doesn't show up till 6. Then I get there at 6:07. He's already gone eating lunch for 2 hours. Comes back 2.5 hours later and says, "Yeah, I've only been gone for like 15 minutes." And we had to interview all these people. We had that Paracon over there at the theater.
Yeah.
And then the next day I go, make sure you're here at 9.
What is it called?
A Paracon.
What is the Paracon?
It's like all these like haunted like psychics and ghost paranormal convention.
Paracon, yeah.
And then I said, all right, the next day, we won't make you spin the wheel, but you have to be here at 9 the next day.
What does spin the wheel mean?
So there's a number that corresponds, right? Some of them are like raccoon eyes, which is I would dip my testicles in chocolate syrup and put it on your eyes, right? It's accountability, bro. It's accountability. We have the 1 chip challenge.
Okay.
We have, what is it? The astronaut helmet, where you put an astronaut and you fart in the helmet.
Tape face?
Oh, tape face. You have to have the whole. You tape your hands on your face for the whole show, and you have to do the show with.
These are insane.
Oh, what?
Sharpie dick.
Oh, Sharpie dick on your face for the whole show. Or like I had to shave my arms.
Yeah.
I fucked up one time. We had a Metalachi here, the girl from Metalachi, and I fucked up on the audio. So I just took accountability. Kendo
So
stick
it's
to
just
the back.
it's the accountability wheel.
Yeah.
Got it.
And if you don't want to spin it, you don't come.
Yeah.
You're not in the show no more.
Yeah.
Everyone spins it because they want to come back. So.
Yeah. That's classic. Yo, Tim, thank you so much.
Dude, thank you so much. Nolan, like, you are the one, you and Anderson are the people that have escaped me for
Oh,
interviews
man. Yeah.
of, like, people that I really respect in our town.
Yeah.
And I'm so glad we had a chance.
Dude, thank you for everything you do.
I so
We'll
appreciate
get Kyle on here next.
it. Dude.
Appreciate
I
you,
love
man.
you, dog.
Love you too, bro.
All right, this is Ben Nolan Smith. Where can people find you?
So for Tinfoil Hat Twitter, it's just Nolan_Smith. And then Instagram, which is now a fitness influencer page, it's Nolan_Smith as well. But yeah, that's where you can find me. You'll get
Or at the
Nolan
gym.
vibes. Yeah, or at the gym, exactly.
There you go.
Yeah. In
Thank
the
you.
streets, in the VTA street.
Thank you so much, everyone, for tuning in. Give us a like, follow, subscribe, comment, be a friend, tell a friend. And we're out.